It's great to have you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 185, Rules of Engagement. I've had a couple of very interesting interactions with people lately. I will not designate to whom I was speaking because I just don't necessarily think anyone needs that kind of information, but I will say this. They have been very challenging and sometimes frustrating, I confess, and have taken a lot of self control and a good bit of skill in having some of those conversations go in a somewhat productive manner and to keep a control over my own spirit so that I didn't yell back or insult back or act rudely back or do a lot of the things that in the past, and particularly in my family of origin, I probably would have done them. You might encounter some of those situations at work, with your family members, with a friend, with your boss, with a coworker, with someone at Walmart, who knows. I frequently see people who do not understand and who cannot properly engage with other people in a productive way. So today we're going to talk about those rules of engagement and teaching and training your child and how to use these rules of engagement that will allow them to have productive and meaningful conversations and interactions with others. You might think that that should just be easy, like you just talk to someone. Boy, don't I wish that were the truth. And yet it isn't true. People will use sarcasm. They'll use what I call the sod punch. They just up and slap you upside the head verbally with rude, hate filled, vindictive, nasty, awful statements like, "What was that?" But you just got punched and it did not feel good. And of course, the normal human response is a great desire to retaliate, to go right back at it with that person at the same level or more, greater force. Like, especially, this is true of good friends and family members. You know that person, you know where they live, and you can really hit them where they live. It just escalates and it gets out of hand. That is not healthy. It does not foster good relationships. There's just no reason for that. But it happens so terribly often. It's why we're addressing it today. So, when you help your child understand the rules of engagement, you are literally setting him or her up for a lifelong experience of better relations, a more positive experience of their life, and a good sense of self control, regardless of the manner in which the other person is trying to engage or is communicating with you. So, the rules of engagement are reasonably crucial. First of all, mom and dad, let me say to you, if you are not handling the rules of engagement yourself very well, in other words, your child is upsetting you and you're insulting them and being rude to them. And I've literally heard parents call kids lots and lots of names, but I won't use any of them here. I'm pretty sure, though, if you have a child or if you've been around very many children, you understand that coaches, parents, even sadly, sometimes teachers will say, "You dummy, you idiot, you this, you that." And it gets significantly worse over time. So that's why I said I won't use too many of those. None of those things are appropriate in the rules of engagement. Name calling is out. Yeah, it doesn't have a place. In the appropriate rules of engagement with the human being, in communicating and sharing ideas or even thoughts and feelings, and sometimes those feelings are big and not as positive as they might be, still, there's no room for name calling. Not allowed. As well, there's no room for bringing up the past. You always, just yesterday, you blah, 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 blah. All the time, every time. Mm-mm. That's not the truth. Besides which, the past, in general, doesn't have a lot of place in today's issues. When you keep bringing up the past, all you're doing is muddying the waters. If, in fact, forgiveness is something that goes on within your household, there's no room for bringing up the past. That's already done and gone. Yesterday is over. This is a new day. The only exception about that is if you, as a parent, are trying to help your child deal with an issue rather than a specific event, you may actually address that. You have, in fact, demonstrated that you have a problem with getting your homework done on time. So, though you did not get your homework done on time today, and you got an F, and your teacher is not happy, and I got this note, and we're going to talk about this particular thing, I want you to know that you do have a history of this, and we are going to work on resolution that is going to involve more than just this specific thing. But in general, in the rules of engagement, the past is not brought up. I have to tell you, ladies, and I'm so sorry, but I have a very large family with plenty of sisters and lots of girlfriends. So I do happen to know that this is one of the failings of our gender. We generally tend to start pulling up things from 20 years ago in this long litany of all this stuff that you did before that kind of backs up our cause, which addresses that we don't feel very secure. So our insecurities show up, and we may not feel very valued and listened to. So our self-confidence, our self-assurance is lacking. Those are all pieces of information for us to get. That is not the other person's issue. It is ours, and we need to own it. We don't need to bring up this huge litany of stuff to back up our position. We just need to discuss what is going on now. So in the rules of engagement, you do not need to keep bringing up the past. Discuss what's at hand. As well, you need to stay on topic. When someone's already got your ire up and you're frustrated and you're a little angry and you're pretty impatient and you want to like, blah, 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 blah. Wow, don't, I know this one. But instead of going to all these other things that are in your way or in your mind or on your heart and making you crazy too, do your best to stay on topic. If you're really seeking resolution, which is the end point of the rules of engagement, then you need to stay on topic and address what is here and now. Okay. If there are all kinds of issues, then you probably need to call a time of, I guess we'll call it meeting, even if it is an informal one, with your spouse or your friend or your child, and say on Saturday or on Tuesday afternoon or Thursday night, we're going to get together and I'm going to need an hour of your time. And we are, in fact, going to start working through some of these things in our relationship. But at this moment, we're going to stay on topic because this is what's at hand right here in front of us. So stay on topic. Seek to hear as well as be heard. If you're talking, and all you're doing is running over this other person and you're not really listening to them, and as soon as they're going to take a breath, you're going to get right back in there and tell them what you just have so much to say to them. Yeah, these are not good terms in a conversational engagement with someone, even over a problem. You need to speak clearly and state your ideas and thoughts and emotions, but you also need to seek to hear the other person. Is a really important element in the rules of engagement. Kids need to know that I'm going to show you respect. I'm going to listen to what you say. Again, that communication method of the mirror. This is what I heard you say. No, that isn't exactly what I meant. And you need to believe that. You need to hear, really hear, listen to what they're saying, and okay, I think I understood you now. So your goal is to hear and be heard. That means you need to be quiet when it isn't your turn to talk. You really need to be listening to what they're saying, as well as speaking your mind and your heart clearly. All right, then you need to seek for good. You need to look for what is best. Man, we humans, we can certainly look for what's at fault. I mean, some people are so critical, so picky, so fault-finding. They about make you crazy because you don't want to be around them because they never have one good thing to say. You need to balance out the problem or the issue that event, whatever this particular engagement is all about, with something that is good. You need to find the good in it. I know you didn't get your homework done. I know you were late again. I understand you're a very committed worker at your job. I get it. That's part of why you're so frequently late. I don't think that I appreciate your priorities, because when the family sits down to dinner night after night after night after night and you don't show up on time, then your commitment to your work looks to be far more important to you than your commitment to this family. Uh, that's a correct way to engage and acknowledge what is good, as well as to engage about what's going on. Okay, so I don't want to give you tons of personal illustrations. I want you to generally understand that you need to seek what is good and best. Sometimes that means, even while you're looking at the problem, to acknowledge what is good in that person. And even though maybe some of what is good is causing trouble, you need to have balance there. Ultimately, you need to seek resolution. In the rules of engagement, it's not just about having this big fight where everybody gets all blown up and torn up and hurt and furious for days. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to seek a resolution, to find a solution to the problem or the issue of what's happening. So, in the correct rules of engagement, there is resolution, and that is the end game for everybody involved. Let me tell you that in a war, the idea is not to destroy someone else's whole world and country. It is because people cannot find a peaceable means of finding an agreement they can both live with. Within your family setting, most especially, as well as with your friends and your bigger family and your coworkers, you need to make it your established guideline that your point in all of this is to find a resolution that everyone can live with and feel comfortable about. Everyone's comfort level won't be the same. Someone's going to have to compromise. Someone's going to have to give in. Ideally, it's great if a few people compromise. Now, if your kid's not doing his homework and he's getting F's, there's no compromise there. You're not going to look for the teacher or your mom and dad to compromise with you while you're just being lazy and refusing to do your work. That's not an available solution. The solution is you are going to do your work, and how are we going to foster that happening? And as a mom or a dad, what consequences am I going to bring to bear that's going to influence them significantly enough and strongly enough to get them to do the work that they need to do? Sometimes that is the resolution, that what I say and what the rules are, they are going to stand, and that's all there is. There are times when that's a very appropriate engagement with your child, but a lot of other times, and even within the context of a younger child, there is room to have discussion and to try to find a solution that maybe you had not thought of before. And that's why it's really important that you listen to others and to their ideas. They don't see it like you, and they might need you to come alongside of them rather than it's always going to go the way that you say just because you're the one in charge. So, I hope this has helped you somewhat in understanding that you need to teach and train your child that in the rules of engagement, there are definitely steps and measures that can be taken to come to a solution of a problem or an issue, and all the proper ways of doing that in having a calm voice and a gentle heart, and taking a breath and keeping control of your own emotions and expressing yourself clearly and listening to the other person as they express themselves, all with the hope of coming to a suitable resolution and a solution that people can live with. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. I will look forward to seeing you again soon. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.